Hi everybody, this is Gabe with Harvest Plugins, and today I'm very excited to announce our newest product named Forager Mini. Forager Mini is the smaller version of Forager, and it's going to serve as a chord assistant. It's going to have every chord in every scale available to you to sort through, to play through, and to keep organized in your project. So I already have Forager Mini properly routed to my instrument, which we'll go over in another video, but for now, let's just get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose a scale. So in the left, I'll choose E, and on the right, I'll choose minor. So we've selected E minor, and here we have every chord in E minor. Now you can click to trigger them, and what you can also do is drag them to your grid. So you can click and drag and let go on your grid, and then you'll be able to trigger that chord with your MIDI input. So the bottom left is C, the bottom right is C sharp, the top left is D, and the top right is D sharp. Now on my MIDI keyboard, I'm going to input a D, and that's going to trigger this C6 add 9. Great. Now you can manually assemble chord progressions like this. But what you can also do is press this randomize button, which will randomly select chords from the list and put it in the grid. Now we can just use the element of surprise to find chord progressions that we wouldn't have thought of on our own. You can do this any number of times you want until you find a good starting point, and when you do find a good starting point, you can also replace chords by dragging them in. Another thing to make note of is that you can change the octave to each of these chords individually. So if I press -1, then you'll hear the E minor is at a negative octave. And if I press -1 again, 2 octaves. You can also do this here, which applies list-wide. So if you click -1, the chords will be triggered at a -1 octave, and they'll also be, by default, entered into the grid when you press randomize. Now in the top right, you can also press the inversion button, which will give you an inversion of the same chord. So for A minor, you can press the root inversion, inversion 1, and inversion 2. So what I recommend as a workflow is to randomly find 2 or 3 chords that work together, and then to find the third or fourth chord using your mouse and dragging it in individually. So let's see if we can do something like that. Okay, so I like this G major 9, E minor 7, and the D9 as a transition chord. I just think this G sus4 could be replaced by something a little stronger. So what I'm going to do is try to find a chord that matches by playing with my left hand on the MIDI keyboard and my right hand on the list, scrolling through different options. I think I've settled on C add 9. So now let's say I'm ready to record my chord progression. So in Ableton, what I can do is just record the MIDI instrument and press record in the DAW, and I'll just record the output of Forager Mini just like that. So here we go. And that's one way to record chord progressions. If you don't have that ability, if your DAW doesn't allow that, then what you can do is instead press the record button in the bottom right of Forager Mini. When you press play in the DAW, everything that you play will be saved and you can drag it out, just like this. You can see as soon as I started playing, this drag button lit up in the bottom right. So I'm going to click and drag and drop that onto my instrument track. So that's just another way to output your MIDI if your DAW doesn't allow recording like Ableton does. And one other thing that works when you record is using your mouse. So let's create a new chord progression here. Okay, so I have my 4 chord progression here. Let's see if I can supplement it with my mouse. So for example, I'm going to use this A minor. Let's press play and record a chord progression. So I was able to use my mouse and my left hand to create a 5-chord chord progression, and you can do this for as many chords as you can click on. Now, if this workflow interests you at all, I highly recommend you check out the full version of Forager. Forager Full contains a lot more features like custom note selections. You're able to lock chords in place. You get 16 chords instead of just 4. You can randomize inversions. You can require notes to make sure they end up in your chords. You can also use loose matches, which expands the chords that are available to you. If you're interested in the product, go to harvestplugins.com/forager-mini to find more information. And if there's anything I can help you with, please email me at contact@harvestplugins.com. More videos to come. This is Gabe signing off. See you on the next one.